So, good evening, friends. On behalf of Dheya Career Mentors, I welcome you all to today's panel discussion on teen parenting in today's times. Dheya is India's leading career guidance and planning organization, working in the area of career mentoring for the last 14 years. Dheya has worked with around 3 lakh plus students and professionals in this area. In today's times, when most of us are in a lockdown, we've been organizing these webinars and panel discussions on topics that involve students and professionals in terms of, again, creating awareness about various personal development areas. Today's topic is really an interesting one, a topic that has been requested very often by a lot of parents, and it's more relevant now because we are all locked up in the house with our kids. So, welcome again to the discussion on teen parenting in today's times. My name is Sameer Apte, and I am going to be your moderator and facilitator for the discussion today. I am a senior career mentor with Dheya, and I'm also a father to a child who's going to enter her teens. So today, when I'm in the house with my daughter all the time, I often wonder on how I can be more aligned with her, how I can actually make the communication more effective. How can I really help improve her skills? And more importantly, how can I keep her motivated and happy at all times? And as I keep wondering these things, it was absolutely a blessing that I was asked to moderate this session, because for me, I am certainly looking for these answers from today's panel discussion. And it's almost like asking, is there a magic formula for good teen parenting? So I'm going to pressurize my panelists today on getting that magic formula out. I'm super excited to be here today, as I'm definitely going to get these answers from two very distinguished and distinguished and experienced dignitaries that I have on the panel, and they are, I'm sure, going to share a lot of practical insights and solutions in the area of teen parenting. So let me just welcome my first guest. Please join me in welcoming Professor Usha Ishwaran. She's a motivational speaker, an educationist for the last 30 years, a life skill coach, and she's the CEO of Seek, an organization that's focused on skill development, career development, academic consulting. She's addressed lakhs of students and their parents and has conducted numerous parenting workshops. I'm extremely delighted and thrilled to welcome Usha ma'am. So, Usha ma'am, welcome to the panel, and may I request you to give us your opening comments. Usha ma'am.
Yeah, thank you, Samir, for the wonderful introduction. And I would like to say good evening to one and all present here, very eagerly waiting to get the mantra of success of parenting teens. To my knowledge, I feel there is no single syllabus that is there for any parent to become an expert, to become an expert parent. But what we can do is, if you start studying or learning about your child, your own child, you become an excellent and expert parent. So that is the mantra actually. You need to study your child and the behaviors, the personality, the feelings. So that is only going to make you an excellent parent.
Thanks a lot, Usha ma'am. And yes, study your child is what we are going to take from there. With that, I'm going to definitely welcome my second guest, and I'm extremely honored and privileged to welcome Dr. Aruna Kulkarni. Dr. Aruna has a doctorate in psychology. She's a practicing psychologist for the last 27 years. In fact, her subject for doctoral thesis is parent-child relationships. She works day in and day out with a lot of young minds. She runs her own company called My Mind Matters, through which she works as an organizational development consultant in the corporate sector as well. I'm going to welcome Dr. Aruna into this panel discussion. Welcome, Dr. Aruna, and I request you to give us your opening comments. Dr. Aruna.
Thank you, Sameerji. Very happy to be here, and thanks a lot to Dheya for giving us the opportunity to be here in the first place. I worked with teenagers for almost 15 years as a school counselor, so it was a wonderful experience, and I do understand that the parents must be really struggling a lot trying to manage their teenagers in this difficult time where we are ourselves struggling to manage our own emotions, our own feelings. So I am hoping that together today we will find answers to plenty of our questions and maybe we'll be able to reduce our struggle to a great extent. So thank you so much once again for inviting.
Thanks a lot, ma'am. And hey, guys, so I think this is going to be exciting. Okay. Both my panelists are absolutely excited about this. They are experts in this. So I'm going to go and just shoot questions onto them. What I've done is I've tried to capture a couple of questions that we keep getting and I've grouped them under certain areas. So let me just first ask my first question to Dr. Aruna, and this is a question about mental well-being. So in today's conditions where it's really a lockdown, everyone's in a very, very confined space, the emotional state of teenagers actually is something that we really need to take care of, because sometimes they appear to be elated, very cooperative, and they're very understanding. But some other times they are irritable, they are aggressive, and they are really missing, the outside world. So how can we as parents really help our kids and ensure their mental well-being? Dr. Aruna?
I love the way you described what we are going through right now. And I have one question. Aren't we also all as adults going through quite the same thing? I think we are also going through the teenage kind of a condition right now. The best thing would be to first be patient with them. Second, empathize with them. Remember, they are going through a very difficult time, not just in terms of the lockdown, but also as per their phase of life. This phase of teenage is anyways called a period of storm and stress. So it is anyways difficult for them to get adjusted through their hormonal changes and so many other factors that are happening. Suddenly they have to become very conscious of their outer appearance, and so many things are happening to them. And plus, as though this was not enough, we have this lockdown thrust upon us. So it is not an easy task for them, and we need to be extremely patient and empathize with them, give them their space, and allow them. The main thing is to allow them to express their feelings.
Thank you, Dr. Aruna. So, yes, to allow them to express their feelings and really to help them sort of communicate is what I take out of it. So, on one side, you have this mental well being, but the other side is all about the physical activity, right? Because certainly the kids are very, very active normally. But now, in these kind of times when again there are limitations, my question is to Usha ma'am now, and this one is around physical activity. How can we really get our children to be physically active and really ensure that their physical well-being is also taken care of? Usha ma'am?
Actually, when we talk about the difficulties of parents, they have a voice, so they speak out, but the children are not given an opportunity to speak out how they feel from within. See, what all they miss, actually, the parents say like they feel the heat. If you take a candle, you get the heat from both the ends. Say like they have to concentrate on the work as well as on the children. But if you ask the children, they also feel the same heat from both the ends. One is they need to do all the studies without fun of school, and other one is 24 by 7 parenting. So this is something which we need to keep in mind, because every child will have been expecting some freedom from home. They show their real face only when they are with friends. So now that they are in the house, they need to completely keep one face where the parent will like. So this is one thing which mentally they get affected, and also they have to study. In addition to that, they have to study the missing lot of summer vacation, no travel, no movie, no trips, and there is no socialization. They can't explore nature. So everything is being cut off, but the schooling still goes on. They have to study. So when this happens without a physical activity, let me tell you something about how the brain works when they are sitting idle. See, the oxygen need to go to every part of the body. That is very, very essential. That is, reaching out of oxygen does not happen with any medicine. So it happens only with the help of blood circulation, and the blood circulation is related with physical activity. And we sit at home. Maximum we walk around inside the house, and that is not sufficient enough for the children to have a blood circulation throughout their body, especially to their brain. So 25% of the blood has been used by brain, and once it has been used, the children feel very lousy, and they feel very tired and boring. So to improve that, we need to have 30 minutes of physical activity every day. And the physical activity, we can do yoga. I mean, we can do some they can do some aerobics using the YouTubes. Or I have a suggestion for children, like whatever may be the size of the room of your house, make the child to skip for 1 minute at a time. So when they skip for 1 minute, they skip for nearly 100 to 150 times. So this is a vigorous physical activity which will help the children to have a complete blood circulation right from toe to head. So this is one thing. When they do that, they need to inhale a lot of oxygen. So oxygen should be transported through this blood circulation throughout the body. So this particular physical activity will make the children very, very fresh, and they will be concentrating on the work whatever they do. And apart from that, we can do a lot of physical activities within the house. We can run around and we can do fitness and housework. We can do some walking within the house. They can do some cleaning the house, gardening, or finger muscle exercise. All those things can be done. But this 1 minute of vigorous physical activity will definitely show them a difference. Even parents should do that, because even they are in a lot of stress. So 1 minute in the morning, 1 minute in the afternoon, and 1 minute in the evening will give the entire physical activity which has been missing for them all.
Wow, didn't realize that 1 minute can be so important, right? Throughout the day. Great pointers. So I have a follow-up question for Usha ma'am. So of course, physical activity is also connected to appetite. Now, one of the things which is important is that the kids definitely take care of the nutrition, and their appetite is also something that parents can take care of. In this kind of a lockdown, we see that either the kids have lost their appetite, they are really not focusing on what they're eating, or they're craving for the junk food that they're normally used to. So in such a scenario where we have to take care of their nutrition and of their appetite, how would you suggest that we help our kids with the right amount of nutrition and the correct appetite? Usha ma'am?
Yeah, actually, this lack of appetite and eating more both happens. And the lack of appetite is because they have a lack of physical activity. So that can be resolved by increasing the physical activity. And when people eat more, that is more related to mind also, like mind related stress, or the fear what they have, craving, like then they may try to go for more eating. And more than that, the uncertainty what they hear from the parents when they discuss about what is happening related to the news, what they get every day, whether the schools will be open or not, whether the business is going to run or not, how they will be in their financial crisis in these days. All these things, when parents discuss in front of children, the children will get a panic, like what is going to happen to my life. That uncertainty will also lead to a lot of eating, because they do this overeating to distract in suppressing their negative emotions. All these negative emotions are because of the fear and stress. The stress is mainly because the school side, they teach a lot. In school, generally, they go for 8 hours, but the general study time is not more than 3 hours. They'll be having lot of breaks in between, but the school does not keep that in mind, and even the parents don't keep that in mind. So from morning till evening, they want them to attend the online classes, which is impossible for a child. So that stress, and beyond that, if they go and handle a mobile, or they stay with the technology, immediately the parents will come and bombard, like saying, like, no, 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 you're always using a mobile, you're always with screen. So the lot of fear and stress make them increase their food habits, like they eat a lot. And one more thing is the boredom. When you're bored, like you don't have anything to do, then you look for something. You want some activity to go on. That activity will be nothing but eating. If they look some snacks somewhere, some chips, or some French fries or something, whatever they see, they start eating. So they may not be hungry, but still they'll start eating. So you can avoid all these things by diverting them into some productive activity, talking to them, giving them some assignment. Maybe in the kitchen itself, the parent can make use of the child to do something, so that it will not be left idle. So if it is not idle, I think it will not go boredom, and it will not go for overeating also.
Thanks a lot, Usha ma'am. And I think Dr. Aruna also wants to add a few comments. Dr. Aruna?
Yeah, I think whether it is the physical activity or whether it is the nutrition part of it, the food part of it, variety is the mantra. I think the children at this age, when they're teenagers, they need a lot of variety whether it comes to exercise. I can't keep asking the child to do Surya Namaskars every day. For them, it is like, oh, this is such an old way of doing any exercise, you know. So I think we should be able to introduce some trendy ways of exercising. There are a number of such videos, trendy videos available on the YouTube, like Usha ma'am had just pointed out. So one of it is HasFit, 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 which is a very very trendy way, and even these boys and girls like to build their muscles, so they can even use bottles, the 2 liter bottle or a 1 liter bottle, whatever is available at home, and do those exercises. So that is one thing. And about the food also, again, they would like to have some variety, something very trendy. So that's where our creativity as parents is going to get tested, that the food has to be nutritious and yet it should look very trendy and attractive.
Thank you, Dr. Aruna. And I have learned a new word, has fit. And that is something that I'm certainly going to check out. And the idea of bottles is certainly something which is very exciting. As well as Usha ma'am talking about how boredom is one of the things that definitely impacts the appetite. So I think, and it goes hand in hand with the physical activity, the boredom, and certainly there are ways to handle it. So thank you both of you. Let me go on into an area which is really something about expectations. And this is my question to Usha ma'am again. You know, parents expect a lot from their kids, right? And a lot of times kids are actually getting stressed due to parents' expectations. So in terms of parents' expectations, how should we ensure that expectations are not pressurizing in any way, but expectations are something that is actually motivating and supporting the kids' growth? Usha ma'am?
Yeah, every parent wanted the child to be the best. That is a normal expectation, and when the thing is how they show it to the child, that is what is the big difference. Like the parents' expressions vary, and from parent point of view, they may feel they are normal, but the child, when it is receiving, it will be receiving in a different way. The parents generally expect the kids to respond like adults. So that is where we make a mistake. And always the distant grass will look green. So comparison is one thing the parents bring in, and that is what spoils everything in the family. Because when you compare, what happens? The child will have a bitterness towards whom you're comparing with, whether the siblings or the friends or the classmates or the neighbors or the friends, relatives, whoever it is. Naturally, the child will not like. I will tell you why the child will not like. Because one day, if you see the child saying, Mom, my friend's mother is very kind, very sweet. She never scold her daughter. Why can't you be like that? Or if the child says the father listening to the child, Dad, my friend's dad always buys whatever he asks. He buys a new mobile for him. He plays with the mobile, but the father does not say anything. Why can't you be like him? Suppose if you see a child comparing yourself with some other parents, how you will feel. So the same feeling the child also will have when the parents compare the child with another child. Because each and every child will have its own identity, uniqueness, strengths, and it will have something good on its own. But when they see you comparing entirely with other child, the child will feel very, very bad about the entire thing, and it will start going away from the parents. It affects the self-esteem of the child, and also it diminishes the self-worth. So it will start resisting talking to the parents. The parents do that more during COVID time because they see a lot of social media, and they can see the other parents posting about their own children, whether the children has done some online certifications or the child has learned something, painting certificate, this, that, and all. They used to post a lot of things, and this parent also will compare and feel, oh, my child has not done anything like that. So this comparison will lead to a disappointment and stressful situation for the parent as well as for the child. So the children can react only to their level of understanding. We cannot expect more. So when you see this teen, we need to accept 4 things actually. The 4 A's of teens, that is, they will be in anger, they will be arrogant, they will be in argument in nature, and also aloneness. These 4 A's we have to keep in mind. And when we respond to the child, we need to accept the children actually, whatever, if they say something in teenage, whatever they think they should speak. And when you accept only, they will speak. And we should start appreciating their work. Whatever they do, try to appreciate. It is from the child. The child has done that. So appreciate it. and appreciate the efforts. Don't focus only on the output. Appreciate the efforts put in by the child, and also take advice from others if you are not able to counsel your child, and ask the child what it feels. So these are the things the parents have to deal with the teenagers, because the child will be arrogant, the child will be talking in anger, the child will have argument with you, it will feel aloneness, it will go away from you, it will look for a room and lock inside and it will stay alone. So this type of attitude is quite common in teenagers. So we need to keep that in mind, and then expectations should be based on some realistic expectations, and we need to accept the children however they are. And we need to also bring in a thought of power of yet. That is, if you feel that the child is not capable of doing something, if the child says like, I'm unable to understand mathematics, then add this yet at the end of the sentence. You're not able to understand maths yet. That means this moment you're not able to understand, but that does not mean that throughout the life you will not be able to understand. So this will give some hope for the child, and it will feel so nice. Yes, my mom has understood. My parent is trying to help me, mentor me, support me in learning that particular aspect. So this is how in parenting we need to concentrate on appreciating the children and see that yes, my child has some strength. Why don't I analyze that and enhance that skill? Why should I compare it with others? Realistic expectations of the parents will make the child as well the parent very happy.
Thank you so much, Usha ma'am. And the word that I catch out of all of this is yet. If a child does not know something, it is the child does not know something as yet, and there is always room for the child to learn new things. So let me just connect it to a question I have in my mind. We talked about unique strengths, and we talked about unique qualities. So since you are somebody who's also involved in skill building, let me ask you this. So how does a parent actually identify the skills or the unique qualities that the child has, and how can the parent actually in a very structured way help sort of enhance those qualities so that the child actually is able to understand how it will help them progress in life? So it's really about identifying the strengths, and how can we help them in terms of enhancing their skills. If you could give us a little bit of your opinion on this.
Yeah, see, when you need to understand the skills of your child, first you should allow the child to perform. If you keep stopping whatever they do, if you still keep commenting on the quality of whatever they do, like they'll stop showing you what they know, and they will stop telling you what they know. So that if you don't see the performance, or if you don't see them how they perform or do something, you will not be able to identify. Even the child will not be able to identify what the strengths they have. So I feel that you need to allow the child to perform. First of all, you need to listen to the children, whatever they say. See, some cases, what happens is some children will be performing some acting in front of the friends, whereas the parent may not even know that the child has such a capability to act and all. So these things and all, why the child is hiding from the parent? Because there is no encouragement from the parent, and parent may say that no, this is time for studying. Don't go into acting and don't waste your time. So this stops the children to perform in front of the parents. So never stop anything. Allow the child to do whatever they feel like doing. And one more thing, the parent always wanted to give instructions for the children whenever they do any activity, so that they become a supportive parent. When they become a supportive parent, the child will know only to follow the instructions of the parent, and it will not be able to think on its own. So when it is not given an opportunity to think on its own, it will not be able to bring out the special qualities what it has. The strengths of the child will not be seen. So I always advise the parents to be like a coach, not like you don't support the child, leave the child, let it take some decisions, let it learn from the consequences. The experiences should be taught to them, then they will know how it will be in future also in life, how to face those experiences and how to overcome those situations. So when you are a supportive parent, then the child will be a dependent child, and if you are a coach, then the child will be independent, and allow them to think and take decisions. You allow the child to be amongst you when you take some decisions. Ask some suggestions from them. So when you allow the child and encourage whatever it does, slowly the child will start coming out with all the strengths, whatever it has. The qualities of the child will be seen in the way they perform, and the way they talk to people, when they talk to some strangers also, the parents will not allow them to talk. So how they will learn the social skills then? So the child should be given a freedom to express themselves. This is how the parent can see and learn the strengths of the child.
Very well said. What I take out of this is really allow them to think and really coach them. A coach makes them independent. Very nicely said. Thank you so much, Usha ma'am. Let me move on to Dr. Aruna now. And this is something that I'm seeing in the chat window as well. The big bad world of technology, right? And let me just address this. And I have a couple of questions that are going to connect with this. So in today's time, when we are all again in the house and the teenagers are all there, one thing that they're addicted to is technology, all kinds of gadgets. And I'm sure all the parents are thinking, how do we get them off the gadgets or at least reduce the gadgets use? Because on one side, certainly it is not very good for their health in terms of the eyesight and a couple of other things like that. But on the other side, and specifically Dr. Aruna, as a psychologist, I would like you to give me a thought on this. A lot of gadgets, a lot of electronics that are involving it means they are not really connecting to the outside world, which means that they are actually not being socially, they are a little socially awkward, I would say. So how do we as parents firstly get them reduce the technology addiction, and secondly, how can we actually help them get out of that social awkwardness and make them a little more socially competent? Dr. Aruna?
I think we need to now redefine what is socialization, because for these teenagers, they socialize through these gadgets. Most of the teenagers, if you ask them, why are you so hooked on to these gadgets, they will say that we are using all the social media platforms or even games like PUBG, etc. They're helping them connect with others, okay? And the current scenario outside is also changing. Most of the children are not being able to step out even otherwise. Lockdown mein to hai mushkil, but even otherwise, if you see, they hardly have enough spaces to play together. They are not allowed physical games. They are not allowed to go out on the playground and play together. So therefore, these people are getting more hooked on to the gadgets, because that is becoming one way for them to reach out to their friends. Therefore, if you come to the current scenario of the lockdown, somewhere we need to understand that this is one of the ways in which they are bound to look out for their friends, etc. So allow them to some extent to use the gadgets. Don't completely cut it off. Give them the opportunity. However, we also need to make sure that they get enough time to socialize with other people, at least now with the family, because going outside is completely out of question. It is, according to psychology, proved that children get hooked on to gadgets more if they are, see, gadgets is a virtual world, it provides a virtual world for them. So they get hooked on to this more because they are unhappy with their current scenario. They want to use it as an escape mechanism. So if you can make the current scenario a very pleasant one by being non-judgmental, accepting the child as he or she is, ensuring that though on one hand you are asking them to study, it is not as though you're going to decide their worth based on the marks that the child scores. Exploring the world around with the child, doing certain things together as and when the time permits. Okay, I understand the parents are also having a very busy schedule right now. They're not sitting idle at home. But whenever the time permits, if you're able to reach out, communicate, all these things will definitely help them get away, move away from the gadget.
Thanks a lot. Yes, I think it is all about giving them something equally or more interesting so that they can actually move slightly away from that. But yes, I agree with you, and I found it quite shocking when you said that but teenagers actually the way they communicate is through gadgets, and that is reality. I mean, as parents we would want them to move away from gadgets, but I like the way you said it, that for teenagers that is how they communicate. So thank you again, Dr. Aruna. Yes, go ahead please.
I'm saying this because I'm myself a mother of a teenager, so I have a very good idea of how it works. My own son is a teenager, so I'm observing him very closely and talking also as a mother, not just as a psychologist.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Guys, just a call out. We have something called as a poll, which is now active. And please, look at the poll window. Some of you have already given answers to a question that says, what's the best way of engaging with your teen? And I think we've got about 171 responses. A few others have not responded. I urge you to look at the poll section. There are two questions now. Kindly just give us your comments on both these questions, and we'll talk about the results in a bit. So let me now move into something that is really important in this teenage years. Again, Dr. Aruna, my question is for you. In these teenage years, teenagers are going through a lot of physical changes, hormonal, emotional, and again, for a parent, it is also the change management in terms of how to deal with these changes. Of course, it is a big one for the teenagers, but also for the parents on how to deal with this, and more importantly, how to connect with our kids in order for the transition for them also to be much more smoother and for you to understand them better. Dr. Aruna?
I think the best suggestion that I could give to these parents is just sit back, close your eyes, go back to your own teenage time and try and connect with how you felt at that time. What were you going through? What were your thoughts, aspirations, etc. Having said that, yes, like I said a little while ago, if you're able to empathize with them, it really helps a lot. Understand that their brain works differently. Right now they are going through a period of a lot of changes, and they are struggling to accommodate, adjust to these changes on one hand, and on the other hand there is tremendous pressure on them to prove their identity. So their brain is at this point of time working differently. They are living in the here and now. They are also dealing with tremendous peer pressure. So they're struggling with the here and now. They are trying to test the limits that are put on them because they want to prove their identity, and they have very little understanding of the big picture. A lot of rules, regulations, and about how the corona is affecting worldwide, etc., is not going to be easy for them to understand. Therefore, we need to slowly sensitize them, help them understand that these things are happening. We cannot step out. What are the reasons? How it is going to affect them directly, rather than how it is affecting us at a global level, etc. And this storm and stress, again, is a changing period. Help the child understand this too shall pass, and I am there with you through all your ups and downs. Roller coaster life is fun. Let's enjoy it together. If this is the message we are able to give to the child, and let the child know whenever you need me, I am there. I am available to you for help. But don't hover around him too much, or don't interfere too much with his life. Because the current generation, believe me, is very smart. They are able to sort out a lot of things at their own level. When we are trying to relate to them, we are thinking of things 20 years ago. We are very backward as compared to them. So let's accept that and give them that space.
Give them that space. Thank you. I think that's wonderful. I am seeing a couple of questions in the question and answer session. So yes, all those who have questions, instead of the chat window, try to put your questions in the question and answer so that we'll try and get to those questions in a bit. There are some of these questions which are connected to how can teenagers be more sensitive? How can they be more emotional? How can we boost the child's morality? My question is actually to you, Usha ma'am. How relevant is spiritual grounding in today's time? Because certainly, for kids, again, in terms of having that kind of a mental balance, it's said that there should be some kind of spiritual grounding. So if you could, give your thoughts on this aspect of spiritual grounding and its importance for teenagers, that will be wonderful. Usha ma'am.
Yeah, good question, because many questions I've seen from the chat window. Many parents wanted to know how to handle the mood swings of the children. So this is almost connected to that. So when we talk about spiritual grounding, it means practice to bring physical strength and emotional balance. That is, if a child is highly stressed, bringing the child to a normal state is what is spiritual grounding. And the overall well-being of the child is based on the physical and the mental well-being. Both should be kept in mind, and we need to see that they are healthy. And when we talk about mental stress or the mental changes, the mood swings, whatever happens, it naturally happens because during the puberty age, like the teenagers are subjected to variety of emotions which disturbs their physical and mental well-being. So this abnormality, whatever happens in physical or mental, it develops a negative energy in the body of the child. any negative energy that comes, it manifests as heat. So this is what comes out like an anger or the way they behave. So let us see like what are all the physical signs that indicate the need for grounding. See, the children, when they are unable to focus, they are unable to complete any activity, and if the child feels nervous, the body will be shaking, and uncontrollable behavior, the child will not be able to control its own self of talking or behaving physically, mentally, all those things, it will lose its temper and it will start questioning more than normal, and it will have difficulty in expressing. Sometimes even a physical violence may take place in the house. It may throw some object, it will shut the door, or kick something, it will break something. See, all these things, every one of us have seen in the house. So the child is losing its balance because of it loses the mental balance. Its body balance also gets disturbed. So it will become physically very weak. So bringing physical strength and mental balance is what we call it as a spiritual grounding. And how we can achieve all these things is the healthy diet is one thing which can make the child to calm down first of all, and a lot of water intake. And the nature, actually the child can see a lot of greeneries, the plants, whatever the plants they have around their house. During this lockdown they can't take the child to a park, so they can make use of whatever greenery you can see either from your balcony, or if you have an independent house, if you have some garden, just go through, take the child through the garden, it will calm down immediately. You can see that by seeing the greens, like the child will become a little calm. And then you can also increase the physical activity. The physical exercise will also help the child to come down to grounding level. And also the parents should allow the child to express the problem, why the child is losing balance. There will be some reason behind it. So if the child feel comfortable with the parent, then the child will also share its difficulty, so that we can definitely handle those issues. Then in order to achieve this spiritual grounding, we can also have something like a warm water bath with salt, which will also initiate a lot of positive energy in the body of the child. And meditation, definitely there are a lot of meditation music available to improve the stress relief as well as grounding them, spiritual grounding. And as a parent, daily you can just hug the child. Actually, that one touch will really make the child to feel a lot of relief. See, when we come home with a lot of stress, physical strain and tension, we just come and sit in the chair, and suddenly if you see the child coming and falling on you and hugging you, you will feel that you're relieved from a lot of stress, whatever you had. This is a wonderful magic thing which will happen, and you can hold the hands of your kid. That is also going to help the child to calm down. So this spiritual grounding is very very essential for teens, because they lose balance, they lose their mental balance, and physically they'll feel very weak. And this can be addressed in all these fashion, and at that time the parents should not shout or argue with the child. They should understand the signals coming out of the child and see how they have to handle. They should understand this is what is happening in the child's mind. The child has been disturbed due to some situation, so let me handle it properly. Let me give the concern. Let me make the child understand like I'm there for you. So this assurance will definitely reduce that the children losing their balance.
Wow, very nicely said. And one small hug can make a big difference. I think. Thank you. This is something very enlightening. I'm going to just go to the polls, and this is for our panelists. So we asked questions to the audience. What's the best way to engage with our teens? And almost 58% said we need to together explore their needs as parents. And I think that's something that's definitely coming out very strong. In terms of the top concerns, a lot of them are talking about gadget attraction, which is what we looked at. There is some questions on self motivation, which is slightly low, and I'm going to come to that in a bit. In order to reduce the gadget attraction, again, what can the parents do? And it's a mixed bag, but basically it's to teach the kids how to use and work with the gadgets responsibly and carry out more attractive avenues, what we discussed as a panel, that give an alternative which is equally attractive or more, and that is something that's coming out as well. In terms of how can we improve goal orientation, it's talking about working on their strengths. So Usha ma'am, we talked about the unique qualities and strengths, and I think that's coming out very well there as well. So guys, please keep responding to the polls, because we want to make sure that whatever it is that you're telling us here, we can include in our discussion. So let me come back to the panels, and I'll take this point of low self-esteem, and this is my question to Dr. Aruna. So nowadays we do see that there are a lot of teenagers that they lack the self-esteem or the self-worth, and I'm getting this in the chat window as well. So how should parents actually deal with this low self-esteem, and how can parents actually help their kids in this particular area? Dr. Aruna?
I would like to connect this to our point which we discussed a little while ago, that as teenagers they are going through a lot of storm and stress, a lot of emotional ups and downs, and at such time it is very important that we do not react but respond to their feelings and give them the confidence that it's all right, this happens to everyone, and I am there to help you out. And when they are very upset, if we are able to hold them, calm them down, and not react very strongly in terms of, you're such a pain, you're all the time troubling me. If we are criticizing them, and if we are judgmental towards what they are saying, that is automatically going to bring down their motivation, their self-confidence, their feeling of I'm wanting to do something. There's a psychologist called Piaget who studied the different phases of a child's life, and according to him, the teaming is the industry versus inferiority phase. So the child is wanting to do a number of things on his own, trying out new things, wanting to establish his identity. However, if he is not able to do that successfully, he is made to feel very inferior. And that is where he starts losing his motivation. And like I said, variety is also the big mantra, that if we are able to provide them with a number of activities and a lot of changes in what they are wanting to do, they feel more motivated. They just hate doing the same thing over and over again. For example, my own son is learning tabla. So this teacher is teaching him the typical way of doing it, that you keep practicing. But these children don't have that kind of patience. So they want that they should be able to move faster. Then he started losing motivation for tabla company. And then I had to, find newer ways of developing his interest, developing and motivating him more to get involved in this activity. So motivating them would definitely come if we are able to, first of all, be non-judgmental, encourage them, help them with these mood swings, because that is sometimes pulling them down completely, and giving them a variety of things to try out, and appreciating and encouraging them when they are doing it well.
Thanks a lot, Dr. Aruna. I am seeing a couple of questions connected, so let me just call it out. Peer pressure, a word that is very, very common these days, right? And peer pressure can work in very different ways, right? And one of it is certainly connected to the self-esteem and the low moral, etc. So again, any thoughts on how, as parents, we can really help the child handle this peer pressure? And this is to both the panelists. I'll ask Dr. Aruna first if you want to add your comments on peer.
This is a phase of life where the friends are going to be the most important people for them in their life. First of all, we need to accept this. We may not approve of all their friends. However, the minute I accept that this is going to happen, the child is going to get influenced by his friends, it helps me as a parent settle down a little bit. Then it will not cause me to react very strongly. Second thing is, time and again, if I keep talking to my child and help the child develop this awareness that I am good by myself, I don't have to copy anyone, I don't have to allow anyone to bully me, or that my friends don't decide my worth. I am worthwhile already, and I don't have to depend on my friends to judge me and decide my worth. That would really be a very big help to the team.
Thanks a lot. Usha ma'am, any comments on peer pressure? Because you work with a lot of young kids, and I'm sure that you heard this word very often. So Some thoughts from you.
Yeah, peer pressure is not only with children, even with adults, because we see somebody and immediately feel that why we are not having that, why we are not able to do like them. So this comparison amongst our own self happens, and especially with the children, they are too young to decide like I'm the best and I have everything. The self confidence, the self content, what they have been provided by the family members, their parents, and the Almighty, it takes time for them to understand all these things. So, a clear communication between the parent and the child will resolve all these issues. Because when the child feels such a way, like there is some peer pressure in the school or in the tuition center or somewhere else, they come home and share it with the parent. The parent can clearly give an explanation to the child and make the child understand and make the child feel more confident. They explain the situation where the child is better in all respect. So this is how we can handle this when the child does not have any communication with the parent. If they have hesitation in sharing all these things with the parent, definitely it is going to affect them mentally, and they will feel that the low feel amongst them, amongst the friends, and they will not come forward for anything, for any participation of anything in the class or in the school, because already they've been feeling that the friends are on the higher level compared to them. So all these things can be handled, because every child need a mentor and a friend and a companion. The child should feel secure that yes, I have somebody to share with, so that I'll get better mentoring or an advice and clarity, and also solution for all the disturbances the child has in the mind. So the parent also should behave like a child at times, and behave like a parent at times, and like a teacher at times, and all the roles the parent have to play. And also keep in mind that finally the child should confide each and everything to the parent. The parent should not stop the child talking to them on certain issues.
Thanks a lot, ma'am. This really helps. A couple of other polls that talk about strengths, and it really talks about how do you fix a goal and how do you improve on the goal orientation. How do you work with strengths and how do you connect that to a career? Well, let me just add something as a career mentor in terms of saying that. Certainly for us to really look at any kind of a career goal or a career direction, it is very important to work on the strengths, but also very important to fix a career destination or a career goal. And as long as you have fixed a career goal and you're working with the child on the career, on the strengths, certainly that's something that's going to take them towards that goal. So let me connect this to something that is in the area of studies, and I'm going to pass this on to Usha ma'am. So in terms of really looking at the lockdown, and currently nobody has clarity on when the schools will reopen, and what is going to be our routine, etc. How do parents really work with the kids on a study plan? Because suddenly it seems that everything is very, very random. So how do parents really work with the kids on a study plan that will help them study in a structured way? I will connect it to one more question. Actually, how do you figure out a daily routine in such times? Because again, no fixed times, no fixed times for your hobby, etc. So one is the study plan, and secondly, the broader daily routine. So as parents, how can we work with the kids in that direction? Usha ma'am.
Yeah, actually, it is so pathetic. Like in this pandemic situation, the first industry that closed was the school, and the last which is going to open is the school. So maximum amount of time the children are going to be in the lockdown, and we should thank Almighty that this time actually this is going to be the end of the academic year. So the parents need not worry much about what they're going to learn or what they're going to miss, because in all the schools the completion of the syllabus of that academic year is done. Only thing is, this is going to be their summer vacation, which we are unable to take them out. So, mindset should be there for the parents that our focus during this lockdown is not going to be of high productivity of the children. This is going to make the parent feel and understand that first thing is safety. The child should be safe from the infectious disease. So first thing is safety, and the second one is mentally the child should not get that fear or the pressure or the stress. You should not create a wound in their mind and forever it will last in them. And don't worry about the education path, because once the school starts for the next academic year, the classes are going to start as usual. And even if it continues on online, the children will adapt to it. And now what we need to do is, generally, we have three types of skills which the child has to acquire. One is the technical skill, other one is the human skill, and other one is the cognitive skill. So the expectations of a parent, if you ask the parent like how you want your child to be, how you want the child to become, uh, like some people may tell about the occupations and other things, but in general, every parent wanted their child to be happy, confident, resilient, and facing any such adversities, whatever happens, they should be able to get up if they fall, if they face failures. So this type of life skills are very, very essential. So these types of life skills can be taught at home itself, so they don't have to worry about the academic part of the child which they feel that they are going to miss. That is not going to happen at all. So first of all, take that out of your mind. Maybe for students who have not completed their board exam, maybe one or two subjects are pending for them, they can prepare for the exams much better, the subjects. Or if they're going to write some entrance exam, they can make use of this time to prepare well. And when we don't concentrate more on the high productivity, we will not put a force on the schedule also. We need to have specific times for study, house chores, independent free time, meal times, family time, bedtime. Of course, we need to have, because the children do not like surprises. They don't want to get up the next day without knowing like what is going to happen today. What is the parent going to expect from me today? If they know what the parent expect, definitely they'll make up their mind to fulfill the expectations of the parent. Else, the parent is going to scold them. So the children never expect any or accept any surprises. So they better schedule the timetable along with the children. I always encourage the parent to make the schedule of 1 week or 2 3 days ahead of the week, with the help of children. Make the children sit along with you. If you have some grandparents in the home, you can make them also to sit along and make the schedule, because you need to fill it with some activities which is not boring, and also the child should enjoy doing that. 50% of your schedule should have things which the child like. 50% of your menu, whatever you're going to cook, should have whatever the child like. So these are all the things which you have to keep in mind. And let me give you some schedule which will help for you to follow in your house. But the timings varies from house to house. I am going to start from 8 o'clock actually. So 8 o'clock you can have your wake up time and then have your exercise done. As I said, you all can do the exercise by seeing the YouTube acrobatic videos. So when the parent dances along with the child or do exercise with the child, like the child will start enjoying, because it is going to see a different face of its parent. Then you can have your bath and then have your breakfast. And here I would like to mention one more point. When you have bath, the parents as well as the children, dress up well. You don't have to be with your old clothes or the without taking bath with your the clothes which you own yesterday or day before yesterday, because when you take bath and get ready, automatically you will get some energy in your mind, and when the child look at you fresh, the child will feel so happy talking to you, looking at your face. So that energy is very much required. And breakfast, then you can go for academics. Suppose if the school is conducting some online classes, they can have the academics and also see that they have some breaks in between. Because if it is in the class also, there will be after 15 minutes, there will be a break and the child will go out and come drinking water, and then the next teacher will come. So now they don't have anything like that. They don't have, the children don't have their friends to talk to, crack jokes, beat them, fight with them, the friendly fights, everything is missing. So you cannot expect the child to concentrate totally on 50 minutes or 60 minutes continuous classes. And then you can include some life skills, what you can teach. Right from the kitchen, you can take the child to the kitchen and show them the dry items, what we have, right from the rice, dal, tamarind, and all these seasonings, whatever you have, because the child see only the finished food. that comes onto the table. It will not know how it is being prepared. So the mother can explain how it is being purchased and how it is cooked, prepared. Even I encourage if the parent include the child in deciding the menu. And then comes the lunch time. Everybody should sit together without any device. They can sit together and eat. While eating, they can talk about the food what they are eating. The concentration of eating the food should be taught to the child. Many of the houses we don't have that now. 99% of people watch something while eating, whether they go with the mobile or with the TV or movies. They see and then they eat. So this is a very very bad habit, and you people have to inculcate in the child, like when you eat something, concentrate on what you eat, and more than that, how to eat. This is also very very essential. We have been listening to people telling like you need to drink food and chew water, and many people do not follow that. Actually, this is a wonderful healthy practice to teach the children how to eat. So when they take one spoon of rice or dal or rotis, they need to chew it for nearly 40 times. So when they do that, lot of saliva comes, and that gives a signal to the brain, and the brain gives a signal to the small intestine, saying that this is what is the type of food that is going to come to you. So you secrete the acid to digest that particular food. So this is a wonderful practice in this COVID time, when you have the opportunity to sit together and eat. Teach the child how to eat, and then you can relax for some time, and you can have some unstructured playtime for the child. And again, you can start from with some academic activities, like online you can learn something new, and then you can have the snack time. During snack time, better avoid oily food and have some fresh cut fruits. And then you can play some indoor games. If you have a backyard, you can play cricket or throwing balls, balloons, catching the balloons. All those things can be done. And then you can give some time for the children to have a screen time. Then the reading time should be there, inculcated in your schedule, because the children do not have a reading habit at all. So let them read. I make my son come to my kitchen and read out the recipes for me when I cook, because I involve him while cooking, as well as he will also improve his reading habit. And family bonding time should be there. You can have some indoor games, playing chess or playing some carom boards or something, or word games, puzzles, or Sudoku, or whatever you feel like. But let you all be together, and you can talk about the younger days of the children. You discuss something and have a family bonding time. And then again, the device free dinner time, and then the sleeping time. When you go to sleep, make sure that 1 hour before sleep, the child does not use its mobile. No screen 1 hour before sleep. And you better tell stories. You better inculcate the habit of sharing stories. You tell stories and ask the child also to say some stories. So they will feel nice when they sleep, like give some motivating stories, some moral stories, so that will come in their dream, and don't put them into any sort of screen habit. So this schedule may not be exactly on time, but see that this all happens. So that will make the entire day go a happy way, enjoying way. Also, some education and learning takes place.
Wow. I think I'm sure people are making notes. So that was wonderful in terms of giving the entire day's schedule. Thank you so much, Usha ma'am. I'm mindful of the time, guys. So we are at 9:10. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to have one more question. I'm going to ask Dr. Aruna, and then we'll just take a quick look at some of the questions in the chat window. Okay, before we end the session. So, Dr. Aruna, a question to you with regards to the parents' psyche and the psychology. As parents, sometimes we feel very guilty of not spending time with our children, and that guilt is there in our mind. And sometimes it's all about us also handling the pressures of today's times, right? So we are multitasking, we are doing a lot of different things, etc., and we are also mindful that the kids are observing us. So I would like you to talk about how should the parents really look at this entire thing. One is definitely not have that guilt or reduce the guilt, but also how they can also teach the kids based on what the parents are learning to do in these COVID times. Dr. Aruna, if you can give your comments.
I think lockdown or even otherwise, the most important point that you made right now is that the children are observing the parents even more now because they are in front of their eyes all the time, 24 by 7. They are actually minutely observing everything that you are doing, and you're going to probably set an example for them. So it is very important that we keep in mind that yes, the house needs to be clean, but let's not be extremely finicky about organizing the place, keeping everything in its place. It's all right, even if the house is a little disorganized. Let's not get too worked up because in the recent past, I've had plenty of complaints of couples about how they're getting into fights or domestic violence is increasing because we are all having too much of stress and too much of things, too many things to handle. We are becoming the nurse for the children, we are becoming the housemaids, we are cleaning the place, cooking, and plus working at home. And the companies are giving plenty of work at home to do. So let's not burn ourselves out too much. Just not be finicky, be patient, try out, do your best because the children are observing this about you, that you are doing your best and you're happy with what you're doing. You're not pushing each other as husband and wife. Never fight in front of the children. There may be difference of opinion. I'm not saying that you should not have difference of opinion, but don't openly fight in front of the children because that is going to set a very bad example in front of them. In absence of the children, you can sort out your difference. And it is also very important. There is one thing that I've learned in my experience as a school counselor, that remember that the children are actually very fine if they're left to themselves. Very often we as parents mess up their lives for them. We interfere too much, we worry too much, we forget that there's a difference between conscious parenting and anxious parenting. We don't remain conscious, we become anxious. So again, going back to my experience, most of the times when the parents used to come to me for their children, teenage children in particular, for counseling, we landed up counseling the parents more than the children because the children are quite sorted at this age. They have a couple of issues, yes, but if you really develop a very good communication with them, you will be amazed how well they are able to solve their own problems. A little bit of support here and there will be of value to them, but that's it. Don't overdo it. Don't take that guilt on your mind because no matter how much you do for your children, it's never going to be enough if you think that is the way it is. So just leave them alone. They're going to be fine.
They're going to be fine. Well said. So I'm just going to look at the polls again. And guys, maybe this is the last time you're going to take a look at the polls. So when we asked you, how do we as parents help the teen handle peer pressure? Again, it was a mixed bag, but most of them said actually 30% that be a companion or a friend, and that's what we did talk about in the panel discussion as well. Um, a question that says, what will help your teen build a great happy career? It's a combination of personality development and the skills, life skills. So certainly Usha ma'am talked about the life skills which are required, and Aruna ma'am, Dr. Aruna talked about again personality development. I think that goes hand in hand with regards to helping our kids actually build happy careers. I have one last question for Usha ma'am before we just quickly go into the questions on the chat. This one is on the dangerous word called the word called marks. So in this entire education journey, if there's one thing that is a very very scary thought is how do we put how do we perceive people, and a lot of times kids get perceived as intelligent or not intelligent based on marks, and again that is something that's also connected to admissions in the way everyone's so hyper about the admissions that are going to come up next. So as parents, one, how do we look at this whole big bubble of marks, and secondly, how do we as parents again ensure that we are not getting very stressed or hyper about the admissions, and again how do we teach kids in terms of the experience through this entire journey? Usha ma'am.
Yeah, so I would like to throw some light about the 21st century expectations for the parents, because we always think about the age when we studied, how we studied and how the recruitments were, how the admissions took place. But in 21st century, this is age of ideas, and we call this as a conceptual age. So if a child comes with a by-hearted theory of whatever is there in the syllabus, the child will not be able to apply it on any application. The world is looking for someone who can apply what they have studied. Let me give you one example. If I remember correct, on January 30th, I think, there was a news in the paper regarding a baby elephant falling into a small well, and it got trapped, and they were not able to take the baby elephant out of the well. So they went and took a help from the forest department, and the forest department officers came and observed that, and they filled the well with water, and using the Archimedes principle, the small elephant, baby elephant, floated and it came out, and they could save the small elephant. This is what is the need of the hour, because the Archimedes principle, whatever they study in physics, that is in the 8th standard or 9th standard. But when they study only for exam sake, for getting marks, and they don't understand the concept or the principle very well, they will not be able to apply it in real life. But what we need in this automated world is, you should be different from any automation or any artificial intelligence or robotics. So all these machines do something. When you give a mathematical formula, any problem which can be solved using a mathematical formula can be solved using artificial intelligence. But as human, how we are unique from automation, or how we are different from all these machines, is our creativity and problem solving skills. So we need to know, we need to have a presence of mind and recall the theory or the concept, whatever we have studied, and solve the real time problem. So if you wanted the child to get marks alone, then the child will study only the old question paper questions, whatever being asked earlier, and it can easily pass and get marks. But if you concentrate on developing the concepts for the children, making the child understand the concepts, and it should be able to apply the concepts on real life situation. It is nothing but a problem based learning, which we call it as PBL. So this is what is the learning the child requires. And when we concentrate more on understanding the concepts, naturally the child is going to get marks. And parents, be assured, in future you cannot expect all these descriptive type of question and answers. And also during this COVID and beyond COVID, we will have lot of online examination only. So in online, you will have all sorts of this objective type of questions, where the child has to understand the concept and answer those questions. That is the reason the children may get good marks in schools, and when they go for a competitive exam, they will not be able to perform well in those objective type of questions, because if they have understood the question only, if they have understood the concept only, they will be able to eliminate the wrong answers and end up with the right one. So for this, they need to understand whatever they study. So we don't focus and force them for getting marks. Concentrate on how they understand the concept, and concentrate on the process or the efforts they take in understanding the concepts. And I also request the parents to involve with the students when they study, and don't put the blame only on the institutions or on the child. So as parents, we also have the responsibility to be along with the child during the process, so that you can ask the child for the results, because you are there during the process. Without taking part during the process, or when the child is preparing, if the parent is going to blame the institution or the child, it is of no use. So be a part of the child when it studies. During this lockdown, make it as a point that you explain the concept using lot of YouTube videos, wherein you have explanation for many concepts, physics concepts or chemistry, biology, whichever they don't like. And also I insist the parents to make sure that the children understand the mathematical skills, because maths is going to be very, very essential in future to understand or learn all the new technologies, especially the data science, and all those things are based on the basic mathematical knowledge. So try to improve, because maths is something very easy if they understand. They don't have to by heart anything. So you can help the child, help the teachers. Now they are free enough in the school. They can chat with the children online, and the children can clarify all the doubts whatever they have. I feel it as a wonderful opportunity for the parents as well as the children to clarify all the doubts whatever they have on the basic concepts, and also improve their life skills, and also the human values and ethics and morals which they need to learn. And you can concentrate more on developing their self confidence, empathy, emotional intelligence, people management. All these things are need of the hour. So these are all not taught in the school. The school teaches the subjects, but when we want the child to be confident, positive, and emotionally intelligent, empathetic, people management, leadership qualities, adaptability, flexibility, resilient, all these parameters can be taught only by practice and by involving them in activities. First, we have to follow that, then the child will automatically follow. So take this time as a wonderful opportunity, and see that the child learns the maximum from home, which is very essential for the children to face all the new challenges which they are going to face in future.
Wow. Well said, Usha ma'am. And so, team, as promised, I am going to now look at the question and answer window, and we are trying to make sure that most of the questions will get answered. So, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to read the question, and I request the panelists to kind of give me a show of hand, and I will direct the question to you, right? So, I have a few questions. Now, these questions are connected to the stress, the mental stress that the teenagers have on account of different things. It could be connected to bullying, victimization, abuse, a lot of different things. But really, how as parents we can actually help the kids with regards to dealing with this stress. So, Dr. Aruna, maybe I will ask you to go first.
We cannot be with the children 24 by 7, so it's very important that we help the child realize that we are there, open channels of communication. Tell the child, come and share with me whatever is happening. I will try my best to help you out. And instill a lot of confidence in him, because these experiences will probably pull down his confidence. I'm being a little conscious of the time, so I'm being very brief in my answer.
The other set of questions is around how do we convince adamant children to do something. So if they are saying we will not do this, how do we actually help the kids to at least try out some new things or to do different things? So, Dr. Aruna, yes, please go ahead.
By setting an example in front of them, if we do it, the children will also be willing to do it. If they see us being very hesitant about trying out new things, they will also always maintain this fear. So, and plus instilling confidence in the child, you go ahead, it doesn't matter, even if you fail, I am there to help you, I am there to hold you, and I will never let you down. I will always accept you in spite of your failures.
That's really nice. I will accept you in spite of your failures. The next one is for you, Usha ma'am. How do we help them handle failure? I know you are a motivational speaker and you have talked to a lot of kids with regards to this topic. So how do you manage the failure part?
Yeah, of course, all the winners have to fail one day and learn from failures. So this should happen from home when they start doing, even while learning cycling, nobody starts cycling all of a sudden, like we fall many times and then only we learn like how we should not do any mistakes so that we will do the cycling in a better way. The same thing happens in life also. So when the child fails in something, it is the responsibility of the parent to encourage the child, saying like the real success is not actually success. I mean, the getting marks or succeeding in something. Actually, when you fail in something, if you are able to learn something from the failure, you are the most successful person. So I feel I look at failures in that way only. As you fail more, you get more experience in life, and you can face any sort of challenge in future. So the children should be supported by parents, like don't worry about the failure, you can do it, you're capable of doing, you're doing very wonderfully well, and let them give them hint on why they failed and see that that gets corrected instead of blaming them. So this way the child can improve the self confidence and try once again without any hesitance.
Thanks a lot, ma'am. There is a question which is basically around from Kishore. It said, "To what extent should we influence careers choice of our child?" And I know that all of us on this call are actually career mentors. So I'm going to ask both Dr. Aruna as well as Usha ma'am to give us some thoughts on to what extent should we influence career choices of our child. Dr. Aruna, if you want to go first.
I think our generation believed a lot in marks, and then because of the marks, getting into engineering and medicine. But today the world is changing. Please think of multiple intelligence as a concept. People are excelling even with fashion designing or hotel management. These children are very lucky. The world is opening up to them, and there are plenty of options which we had never even dreamt in our mind about. So let them make their choices, go to a good professional, seek help rather than us influencing them, because we will typically then pile on our incomplete dreams onto the child. So please don't do that. Please be wary of that.
Usha ma'am, anything to add to that?
Yeah, actually, as parents, we may have limited awareness about the careers available. So, definitely, a professional with lot of analysis, like they will be able to guide the child in the right way. And it is not just like that, seeing the marks, you decide a career. You need to see the mental abilities, you need to see the personality traits, strengths, and their interests in which they do well, and based on that we need to design a career path. It is not straight away the child goes into a college and it will be able to adapt. So but when it is studying in the ninth standard or 10th standard, they need to identify the real skills of the child and what it will be better, in which job or the career the child will be more happier. Because when we talk about job and career, job is something which they work for money, and career is something which they go with passion. So we always want the children to choose a career only, not a job. So when they need to choose a career, they should be happy, they should have an interesting job, they should really feel that the content of working. So that happens only when we identify the strengths of the children and which will be suitable for them, and which is not possible by a normal parent, because the strengths what the children expose, like not much actually. We need to have a tool to identify all these things, and that gives a perfect analysis of how the child is. You can get a picture about the child, and based on that, with the experienced people, if you could go with a career path designing, that will be the wonderful thing a parent can do for the child.
Thank you so much for those insights, guys. We are at 9:30, so I am going to sort of summarize and conclude. There are a couple of questions here, parents. We have addressed it in some way in the at the start of the session, connected to gadgets, connected to how to handle the emotional well-being of kids, sensitivity and all of those other things. So what I'm going to do now is I will basically just go around my panel to and ask them for closing comments. So Dr. Aruna, if you want to just give your closing comments or your message to the audience here, Dr. Aruna.
Yeah, like I have been saying, it is very important to remember this generation is quite sorted out. It's only that they have a lot of information which they don't know how to handle. So our role as parents is more to help them compartmentalize and understand how to, which part to take and which not to take. Otherwise, believe me, these children are more aware than us in a number of ways. So just tell them, I am there to help you out. You go ahead. I will support you and accept you as you are, in spite of all the ups and downs that you may do. That is one message that I would like to give to all the parents. And of course, the concept of multiple intelligence. Please remember that. That's very important.
Thanks a lot, Dr. Aruna. And yes, acceptance and multiple intelligence. Usha ma'am, your closing comments, please.
Yeah. So I request the parents not to choose what the child should do. Ask for options from the child. Many people put the child in one class and they have paid the fees, and if the child doesn't like, also they make the child to continue doing that or going for those classes just because they paid the fees. So I feel if the child the child is trying which one is better, and which area the child will be more happier and all. So give them a chance for the child to explore. You don't limit them. Like, if you like dancing doesn't mean the child also should be a dancer, or it should also become like a replica of what you are. Child is a different entity, and child will have its own like our fingerprint. Every child is unique. Every child is come into this universe for achieving something unique. So let us give the opportunity for the children to explore the new areas which we would not have seen. And the only part what we need to see that is whether they are safe when they use the technology, and when they go for new friendships, we have to monitor that they are safe. Other than that, we need to just be facilitator and a coach, as I said earlier. Allow the children to do and let them learn from experience.
Thank you so much. So, guys, I'm just going to say this, that I had read somewhere that teenagers are the most misunderstood people on the planet. They are treated like children but expected to behave like adults. And I hope that today all of us on this call have got some answers with regards to how to understand these teenagers better. I really, really want to thank my panelists today, Dr. Aruna Kulkarni and Usha Ishwaran, ma'am. Thank you so much for coming here today, giving us your valuable time, but most importantly, very, very practical insights and very useful suggestions, which I'm sure everyone on the call and me personally, I'm definitely going to use with my child, who's certainly on the eve of teenage. So thank you again for being a very fantastic panel experts. Audience, thank you so much for being a very, very patient audience. We have crossed 1.5 hour mark. We were supposed to do this for 1 hour, but we went on and on. Thank you so much. And I would say that if you need any kind of help, again, just visit the Dheya website, and certainly we would love to have these kind of webinars go on, especially during these COVID times, but certainly outside of that as well. So thank you, everyone. See you later. Stay safe, and hope to catch all of you again on our next webinar or panel discussion. Goodbye and good night. Thank you.